A tiny British border town, Berwick-upon-Tweed, is rumoured to have been at war with Russia for 110 years, all because of a single line in a forgotten treaty. But as headlines spread and mayors issued peace to Moscow, a deeper investigation reveals the legend's true origin, a single newspaper article in 1914. So how did this myth fool historians and governments for decades, and what really happened in Berwick-upon-Tweed? In April 1914, half a world away from the English-Scottish border, a New Zealand newspaper ran a curious report. The article credited a respected British academic, Archdeacon William Cunningham, a Cambridge economic historian, with a discovery that sounded almost too odd to believe. According to Cunningham, the town of Berwick-upon-Tweed had technically been at war with Russia for nearly 60 years because of a bureaucratic oversight during the Crimean War. The story claimed that when Queen Victoria declared war in 1854, she did so as Queen of Great Britain, Ireland, Berwick-upon-Tweed, and all British dominions. But Cunningham insisted that Berwick's name was left out of the peace treaty 2 years later in 1856. The implication was simple: Berwick, population 12,000, was still at war with the world's largest country. Cunningham's credentials gave the tale an air of authority. He was no fringe figure, a Cambridge professor, a published historian, and a man whose opinions carried weight in British academic circles. Why he chose to share this story, or whether he believed it himself, is lost to history. There is no surviving letter or diary entry to explain his motives, but the effect was immediate. The article's odd mix of legal trivia and imperial drama caught the attention of readers, and over time it spread through the wider press. With a single column, the seeds of a legend were planted, ready to be picked up and retold by newspapers across the world. Within a decade, the Berwick and Russia story found new life in the British press. In 1926, a local newspaper in Berwick-upon-Tweed presented the tale as established fact. The article repeated the claim that the town's name had been left off the Treaty of Paris, and that Berwick, by some quirk of royal paperwork, remained at war with Russia. Readers saw no hint of doubt, just a strange official-sounding assertion tucked alongside the usual local news. The story, once a colonial oddity, was now part of the town's own folklore. 9 years later, the myth broke out of the borders of Northumberland. In December 1935, the Daily Telegraph ran a column that took the legend national. The piece went further, reporting that the Foreign Office had supposedly discovered Berwick's unresolved war status back in October 1914, and that a special treaty had been arranged to correct the oversight. The detail was pure invention, but it had the ring of government intrigue. Each retelling added new layers, and the story grew bolder with every print run. Patterns of repetition shaped its path. Local papers repeated the tale for their own communities, while national outlets amplified it for a wider audience. A media historian describes how small-town curiosities can snowball into national myths, especially when newspapers copy each other's stories without checking the facts. By the late 1930s, the legend was firmly entrenched in public imagination, no longer just a rumor, but a story with the apparent weight of history behind it. Inside the pages of the London Gazette, dated March 28, 1854, the official declaration of war against Russia appears in stark, unembellished language. The proclamation refers to Queen Victoria simply as Her Majesty, without any flourish of extra titles or mention of Berwick-upon-Tweed. Nowhere in the text does the legendary phrase Queen of Great Britain, Ireland, Berwick-upon-Tweed, and all British dominions make an appearance. The document's legal phrasing is precise, following the conventions set by the Wales and Berwick Act of 1746. That act had settled more than a century earlier that Berwick was included in all references to England within royal and parliamentary documents. From a legal standpoint, the town received no special treatment, no separate identity in matters of war or peace. Turning to the Treaty of Paris, signed March 30th, 1856, the same pattern holds. The treaty's English text is formal and comprehensive, but Berwick is absent. The omission is not a clerical oversight, it is simply the result of legal precedent. The tradition of naming Berwick in royal proclamations had faded into custom, not law. Both documents, when read line by line, offer no trace of the town's supposed separate status. The evidence is not hidden in footnotes or buried in obscure clauses. It is right there in the main body of the text. Berwick is neither singled out nor forgotten. The legend's foundation, a missing name, vanishes under the scrutiny of the original documents. In the 1930s, the Foreign Office took a closer look at the Berwick legend. Staff combed through diplomatic records, legal files, and every available memo. Their findings were clear. There was no evidence that Berwick-upon-Tweed had ever been at war with Russia, either separately or by accident. The story about a forgotten peace treaty simply did not hold up. Decades later, in 1965, the Foreign Office ran the search again. This time, they checked new archival codes and reviewed the legal framework set by the Wales and Berwick Act of 1746. Once more, the outcome was the same. Nothing in the official records supported the myth. A legal historian explains that the law is unambiguous. Berwick was included in every reference to England by statute. There is no legal gap, no technical loophole. The paperwork is complete. Official memos from both investigations, summarized in internal reports, confirm that no separate treaty, no special mention, and no diplomatic oversight ever occurred. The tale of Berwick's phantom war with Russia had no foundation in British or international law. For transparency, all primary sources and Foreign Office summaries cited in this investigation are listed in the source end card. Each claim about the 1854 Declaration and the 1856 Treaty has been checked against the original documents. The record is open, and the verdict is final. The legend of Berwick's War is a story, not a fact. December 1966 brought a visitor from Moscow to Berwick's town hall. A Pravda correspondent arrived with a smile and a handshake, hoping to settle the world's longest-running non-war. Mayor Robert Knox, standing beneath the town's coat of arms, offered a line that would echo across continents. Please tell the Russian people they can sleep peacefully in their beds. No treaty changed hands, no diplomats drafted clauses, just a friendly exchange and a wink at history. The story leapt from The Guardian to The Washington Post and The Baltimore Sun, each paper playing up the absurdity of a town of 12,000 people ending a century-old feud with the world's largest country. 40 years later, Berwick held a war with Russia weekend, complete with mock peace signings and tongue-in-cheek speeches. For locals and visitors alike, the legend became less a matter of law and more a badge of pride, proof that a good story can outlast any official record. Berwick-upon-Tweed has never fit neatly into any category. For centuries, its very identity was up for grabs, claimed by England, then Scotland, then back again a total of 13 times. That borderland status shaped everything, from its fortified skyline to the way people lived. In the late 1500s, Queen Elizabeth I poured £128,648 into building massive defensive walls here, the most expensive project of her reign. Those stone ramparts still wrap the old town, the only complete set of Elizabethan walls left in Britain. Yet Berwick's quirks go beyond history books and battlements. Its football club, Berwick Rangers, competes in the Scottish League, not the English one. In 1967, the team stunned the sporting world by beating Glasgow Rangers 1-0 in the Scottish Cup, a victory still talked about in pubs on both sides of the border. Scottish banknotes are welcome in local shops, and debates over national identity are part of daily life. Berwick's real story is one of survival, adaptation, and a culture that refuses to be boxed in by any line on a map. Legends can shape a town's identity long after the facts have faded. In a world of viral myths and blurred borders, even a fabricated war can unite a town, or it can distract from its real, remarkable history. History's edge is not just the past, it is the stories we choose to carry forward. What stories shape your world?